have takes. Welcome to Football Takes.
Football! Yeah! Football!
Hello and welcome into Score North's second bull betting extravaganza. I'm your host, Thor Nystrom, joined as always by my co-hosts, Eric Froton of NBC Sports and Mike Bainbridge of the CFF site. Over the next hour plus here, we're going to go through, firstly, the 3 CFP games tonight. We had a fun one last night. Maybe not so fun if you live in Norman, Oklahoma, but fun nonetheless. We have the 3 other CFP games today that we're going to get to first. We're also, on this episode, going to cover all the bowls through Friday. We will be back with you guys 1 week from today, same time, same place for our third bowl episode. But today we're gonna be running through the next week, starting with those CFP games. Froton, Bainbridge, how you boys doing today? You ready to get after this?
Yeah, had a nice big Alabama there. We had our best bet from the last show, went hot. And I know Michael did pretty well, so pretty excited. Also got Jan Miller under. And when I was on VSiN, gave out his receiving under. So very profitable first game. We also slipped in Josh Cuevas when he looked good. 18.5. Man, we got a great line on Cuevas.
You did.
Dropped right in the pregame. Oh, I did. Oh, geez, yeah.
I know the reporting was just off the entire day. It was like Josh Cuevas is limited to 20 to 25 snaps. And then all of a sudden on the ESPN graphic, he's supposed to be full go. So I don't know. It is what it is.
Well, it was more, you have to watch and check out social media to see what they're doing, see how they're moving. And it kind of informs a little bit what we'll be doing with the Texas A&M game because we don't know what was happening with that running back situation. The more eyes you can get on these guys, see what they're doing. Cuevas in that pregame, he was making, turning around, catching, twisting catches, high pointing. I mean, he looked real good in how he was moving. So that really dictated a lot of what I was looking at in that last second. But you got to watch, and sometimes they're in, sometimes they're not, and that's why we're trying to parse all this stuff as we
the one I wish we would have gotten on was Ryan Williams. My God, what a fall from grace with that guy.
Alligator arms.
What do you have? Four receiving yards last night for Ryan Williams?
1 catch,
Dude,
yep.
And a big drop where they needed him. They were down 17-7 on the sideline there, and he jumps, he elevates, ball is right there, and he just lets it go through. He's not attacking the ball with his hands, and he hasn't been doing it all season.
Crazy. He'll get one more shot against Indiana. We're not going to talk about that game in this one. I do think Indiana's going to drop the hammer on Alabama, but I digress. Boys, let's get into today's card, beginning with Miami at Texas A&M. That is our noon Eastern kickoff on ABC. Texas A&M right now in the market is a 3-point favorite. This thing's toggle between 3.5, 3.5, 3. But we're currently at 3 with A&M there. Total on this game is 48.5. And my line, for whatever it's worth, with my adjusted system, I'll give you guys my lines for every one of these games. I include impact from opt-outs, injuries, coaching staff stuff, all kinds of stuff. But my line on this game is Texas A&M minus 4.2. Getting into the injuries and opt-outs on the Miami side, cornerback Damari Brown is questionable. Miami Hurricanes did get fortunate news with their stud nickel defender Keontae Scott. He is going to play. As for Brown, he's a decent player, but Miami has really good secondary depth. The absence that would have hurt was Keontae Scott. I don't think that they would miss Damari Brown that much. And then Le'Veon Moss, the questionable designation. Boys, have we gotten a Pete Thamel report on Le'Veon Moss this morning?
Not from Thamel, but I read an On3 report yesterday that said he's likely to play. We just don't know to what extent.
As the guy who owned Le'Veon Moss in our 60-team league this year, the injury designations with that guy are so frustrating. And whenever he goes to the pros, that's going to be a part of his evaluation. He's one of those every week. It's up in the air. It's going to be a game time decision, etc. But we last saw him in week 7. We last saw hope for my 60-team league in week 7, I think, as well. But looking like we could get Le'Veon Moss back in this game. For me, my handicap, I'll kick this one off. Miami's offense, not explosive, 110th in explosivity. Carson Beck, our boy, is susceptible to turning the ball over. Miami does not trust Carson Beck to throw down the field. He still turns the ball over. And then the defense for Miami struggles to tackle. The Hurricanes are 118th in tackle success rate in the FBS. Miami is also one of the 10 most penalized teams in the country. I like A&M in this game a lot. A&M's biggest weakness is allowing explosive plays on defense. They're 134th in that. Not going to be an issue here. Miami's offense doesn't generate the explosive plays. A&M's awesome offensive line, I think, is going to neutralize Miami's really good, super powered defensive line. And A&M's defense mucks up offensive efficiency. I think it matches up really well with Miami's flawed offense. A&M also didn't lose at home this year, of course. Froton, I'll kick it to you for years, but I'm going to be laying the points with Miami. What do you like in the prop market? Or I'm sorry, laying the points at Texas A&M. What do you like in the prop market for this game?
Yeah, I got a couple good looks here. First off, we're going to go over to Texas A&M and Ashton Bethel Roman. I really look at him as the Lotzier Brooks of Texas A&M. Freshman coming out and really established himself in the wide receiver rotation. We saw what Brooks did last night, having 2 touchdowns and really sort of supplanting the aforementioned Ryan Williams in the depth chart there. I think he's the clear number 2 right now if I'm Kalen DeBoer behind Jeremy Bernard.
I liked his twister into the end zone for Raton last night. You know, he did that little twisty. That was cool.
I do.
Here's a little corkscrew action into a little English on it into the end zone.
And not only did he corkscrew into it, but as soon as he got up, there was a cameraman on the ground who was pointing. He immediately knew who that cameraman was and started mugging for the camera. Really respected the sense of awareness of that. As a sideline guy, you know I'm always looking for the camera.
I just didn't understand why he looked into the camera and said, Ryan Williams, I am the captain now.
Well, I think I do understand why he said that. Yeah, because he is the captain now. But sure. I see a similar trajectory there for Ashton Bethel Roman. You didn't get anything out of him for the first 6 weeks. Until Arkansas goes 4 catches on 4 targets for 83 yards and a touchdown. Since then, he has been a fixture as the wide receiver 3 alongside Concepcion and Mario Craver. I actually put him out on VSiN. I made an appearance on Wednesday night with my boy Dustin Sweetelson. Gold Dust, as I like to call him. Of course, more wrestling references. But he was at 18.5. We got an open on Bethel Roman. That is flagrant. We're still only in the 20, 22.5, depending on what you're looking at. I love that over. Not only that, I'd be looking at the alt lines for a sprinkle, maybe 40, 50 plus, depending on where you're at. 40 plus was getting us 3-1 earlier in the week. That has been torched, but I think you're in that same range at 50 plus. I love Bethel Roman to go over that. And obviously in the, with a little bit of alt, I'm also going to go with our friend and yours. I know you're going to probably have some thoughts on Carson Beck, Thor, but we got a 0.5 rush yards line on Carson Beck. Woo!
Ooh.
We are truly blessed. See, this is the beauty of bowl season when you get these CFP games. They have to get creative with their lines. And you're going to throw our boy Carson Beck, the immobile Carson Beck. I don't think that's particularly strong take. He's immobile, Thor.
That's him.
Statuesque, Drew Bledsoe-esque for those in the past. Just to pat the ball, stand in the pocket, and that's what he does extremely well. But keep in mind, when he's out there, sure, he'll get maybe single digits every once in a while, but he's doing Stanford, okay, NC State, or the crap teams he doesn't have to run against are okay. Do anything, he'll be able to do it. He's facing Texas A&M's pass rush, and my boy Cassius Howell. I actually had him in my early mock. Oh, I love Cassius Howell. When I was doing my Shamar Turner and Shamar Stewart work last year, he popped off the page. 3 straight years of a 90-plus percentile PFF pass rush grade. A&M, first nationally with a 9.7% sack rate, 41% pressure rate. Look, they bring heat. It's what they do. You can run on Texas A&M. What you can't do is avoid that pass rush. I think they're going to be all over Carson Beck, who's, again, immobile. I see at least 2, probably 3 sacks, I'm going to guess, that they get him with. I think they'll have to throw a little bit, which puts this in DOA territory. He's juiced a little bit now since I got him when he came out. But I still think that's worth an underplay there on his 0.5 rush yards. So I will acquiesce to Michael where he has a play that I also like that has been steaming.
Yeah, just real quick, it's funny to look at the FanDuel lines while you're talking, Eric, because Bethel Roman was actually at 19.5 when we began the show, and he moved all the way up to 23.5 while you were talking. So, yep, the listeners are already on it, and I do like that play as well. And potential ladder play, we actually have him projected for 40 receiving yards today, so I definitely like that over. I'm going with CJ Daniels over 32.5. Receiving yards. I got that at bet 365. That might have moved at this point because it's up to 40.5 over at FanDuel. I still like it there. But if you remember before the injury, like that, it was a pass funnel with Miami. It was literally Malachi Toney and CJ Daniels, and that was it. And I believe that A&M is going to shade coverage over to Malachi Toney today. So when he's healthy, CJ Daniels, which he is, he got a couple weeks off here after he was banged up in the second half. But when he's healthy, he's covered this in 6 of 8 games. 4 or 5 games to start the year. So I really like CJ Daniels over 32.5. You could get a look at his anytime touchdown as well. I started at Hard Rock at plus 300. So I'd take a small sprinkle at that as well.
At Underdog right now, they're going to give you almost 7-1 for this 3-leg parlay. Carson Beck to have an interception.
Of course.
Ashton Bethel Roman higher than 22.5 receiving. CJ Daniels over 2.5 receptions. What do we think?
There you go.
I think it's time to sprinkle, baby.
I was looking for that rush yard for Carson Beck, but they don't have it on Underdog. I'm going to have to look at some of these other ones, but I'm getting in on that. And we are definitely in Carson Beck's last college game today. You think I'm not going to play the over on the interception? This is my last shot. Carson Beck, who's been an ATM machine for me over the years. I'm going to miss you, my friend. And I'm going to enjoy your last game today. So we're going to take advantage of another interception prop. Boys, moving to our next one, Tulane at Ole Miss. Ole Miss in the market right now, 17.5 point favorite. Total on this game, 57.5. This is a 3:30 kick Eastern on TNT. We got some TNT games today. It's like the early rounds of the NCAA basketball tournament, we got going on here. In this one, injury news on the Tulane side, wide receiver Bryce Bohannon's doubtful. Omari Hayes is just as good in the slot. Tulane has some wide receiver depth. I don't think that one matters. John Summerall, of course, the head coach for Tulane, he's taken the same job with Florida, but he's around and he's going to coach this game. And if Tulane were to upset, he'll coach through the end of the CFP. On the Ole Miss side, the only injuries of note to point out, a couple of cornerbacks, Antonio Kite and Cedric Beavers. But those guys, Ole Miss has good cornerback depth. I do think it could be tested if Kite is out. He's the one that matters and has that questionable designation. I don't know that the starting lineup is too affected, though, because Ole Miss does have good depth in the secondary. And then, of course, everyone knows Lane Kiffin went to LSU. Pete Golding, the defensive coordinator, he was named the permanent head coach. And Charlie Weiss Jr. is around to call plays in this one, the offensive coordinator. Froton, I'll kick to you. What do you like in the prop market for Tulane and Ole Miss?
Yeah, well, last week, Jake Retzlaff, I know our boy Trilly. He is a Tulane guy. He loves his Retzlaff. But I went and I watched every snap he had against Ole Miss earlier this season. And one, it was like a bombing run in the backfield. They were all over him. He went 5 for 17 passing. Mercifully, they brought in Brendan Sullivan, old friend. Brendan Sullivan over there from Northwestern.
And Iowa. And
excuse me, Thor, Iowa. How could I forget? We actually pounded a couple of his unders, didn't we, Mike?
Sure.
As is tradition with the Iowa QBs, especially in the Brian Ferentz era. Bless that man and his unders. But, Retzlaff, I watched all the carries, watched all the passes from last game. And like I said, he was absolutely under siege the entire time. I don't understand how this Tulane offensive line is going to be able to handle Ole Miss. And not to mention just their, you talk about the edge play with Cassius Howell, but with Ole Miss, it's up the middle. Will Eccles Xavier Harris. These are a couple of
kid's a monster. Harris, yeah,
monster defensive tackle. Like these guys are
6'7",
for real.
325, and he's like the 85-inch wingspan. That guy has a ridiculous frame. That Harris.
He's a terror. They don't have to run more than 4, and they were absolutely collapsing the pocket every time. With 4, it's like I don't know what they're going to do about that. But with Retzlaff, watching him, he had 8 carries that game. 6 of them went for 3 yards or less, and every designed run went for 3 yards or less. He had 2 really successful runs, essentially. One, the 30-yarder, which was the decider when it came to him going over or under his rush. The pocket was completely collapsed. Guy, the edge defender got a hand on him, flushed him up, and he just happened the one time that they dropped into coverage because it was a long down situation. He managed to stumble his way to 30 yards. That was a 40-yard swing. It should have been caught 10 yards in the backfield. Instead, he got 30. It didn't even make sense. The other one, same thing. Pressured, had to scramble and roll out, managed to get 8 yards. Nothing designed was remotely effective against Ole Miss, and I think that's going to inform this play as well. He's listed at 38.5 rushing yards based on the 51 he had. That is a misnomer. I see Ole Miss all over him. With Retzlaff having to pass, they're coming for him. I don't see that happening. I'm going under this week to 38.5 on Mr. Jake Retzlaff, and I got another sprinkle on the other side with Tulane. Yes, I know. Tulane, I don't expect them to be able to do too much, but they're going to have to try to run the ball to keep the rush off them at least a little bit. And Ole Miss isn't great against the run when it comes to those structured running back situations. Now, Jamari McClure is taking the lion's share of carries, but he doesn't catch the ball at all. That is Javen Gordon's deal, and they've been sort of like a 2/3, 1/3 split. You got Gordon at 18.5 rushing yards. He's out there on the passing downs where you get the draw plays up the middle, where you got the ears pinned back, as we sort of mentioned. I think he gets 6, 7 carries at least. 18.5 yards. I'm taking a speculative over on that play.
Like it. Mike, anything for you?
Yeah, I didn't have an official play, but I will be looking at Daquan Wright's pregame status. He was questionable during the week, and it's expected that he's going to play. But as you know, with the Ole Miss passing offense, they just spread it around to 4 to 5 different receivers. And then potentially if we have a questionable tight end here in Daquan Wright, if he looks maybe gimpy in the pregame, I'm looking at his under 2.5 receptions. You get plus odds over at Bet365. Again, nobody's got more than 20% target share on this team. They're going to spread it around to Deuce Alexander, the multiple receivers in the slot there, Deshaun Stribling. So I do like, if you're giving me plus odds, I'll take the under 2.5 receptions for Daquan Wright.
As for me in this one, one prop that I have my eye on for this one, I'll get your guys' take before I start my handicap. That Omari Hayes one at 22.5 with the idea that Bryce Bohannon could be out. Does you guys have any thoughts on that? I kind of like the over on that one.
Yeah, Bohannon is pretty much like the number 2 wide receiver and the complete number 1 slot receiver. He, in terms of consistency, I would say I would even take him over Shaz Preston for a week-to-week basis sort of thing. With him out, Omari Hayes is the only one who gets those reps in the slot. He's going to start. He's going to get at least 30, I would say, pass reps. The opportunities are going to be there. And like you said, it's going to have to be short passes that hopefully get extended. So I see manufactured touches, screens, those things of that nature, because I don't see him really having enough time to throw over the top. So short structured throws really play into that with Omari Hayes, absolutely.
Yeah, well, real quick, I will say that I think the latest report from On3 is that Bohannon actually is going to try and suit up today, so that'll be just something to watch there.
Okay, yeah, we'll be on warm-up watch again. Some of these guys, they trot out there, and it's never know with some of these guys. But for me, my official play in this game, I'm going to go under the 57.5. We saw, and Froton was talking about this, how feeble Tulane's offense was the first time around. And now you have the defensive coordinator taking over the head coaching job for Ole Miss. Are they, I've heard this thing of Ole Miss, they're going to be defiant. They're going to try to run the score up. Why? Why would they? You're gonna sprint back every single time, and just into the second half, you're gonna keep trying to. For what reason? If I'm Pico, I just want to get to the next game. right? And of course, I expect Ole Miss to win comfortably in this one, but I don't know if they run at quite the same breakneck tempo as we saw during the regular season. And then just getting out of there with the win, with that total at 57.5, and my expectation that Tulane's not going to do much on their end to get there. They're not going to contribute much to that. They scored 10 in the first one. I'm happy to take the under there. Boys, moving to our last CFP game today. James Madison traveling to Oregon. Oregon, 21-point favorite in the market right now. We have a total on this game, 45.5. Injury news on and this is a 7:30 Eastern kickoff tonight on TNT. Injuries on the Oregon side. The receivers are the thing there. DeCorian Moore, Gary Bryant Jr., and even Evan Stewart. They like tossing Evan Stewart onto the injury report. They're all questionable. They have been, for fun. They have been dressed at practice. I mean, we've seen them out there on the practice, but they're all, they've been listed as questionable. Do you guys have any take? Do you guys have any thoughts on the availability of the Oregon receivers before I get to the other side?
Yeah, DeCorian Moore apparently, I think, posted on social media saying like I'm back or something. So and he's got a prop line out there, so I think that's a pretty good tell that he's going to play today.
And Bryant, 4.5, 44.5 is what he's at.
We think Bryant's out.
I don't know.
He is currently listed as doubtful as of before the show when I had checked it. Gary Bryant, questionable. It's Evan Stewart who is doubtful. I don't think Evan Stewart will be out there.
Why do they keep tossing Evan Stewart's not going to play? I mean, like, why do they? Yeah, stop tossing him on there. On the James Madison side, Bob Chesney, their head coach, he took the UCLA job, but he's still with the team. He's going to coach through the end of the CFP. And on the Oregon side, what the coach is, their coordinators both took head coaching jobs elsewhere, but they will also remain for the CFP. Froton, kick it to you first. What do you like in the prop market in this game?
Yeah, well, as you know, with the dearth of wide receivers, they've been running 2 tight end sets with Kenyon Sadiq and the upstart tight end, Jamari Johnson, which I was a little surprised. We got it this morning. They had held him off all week. Got a drop this morning at 22.5 on Jamari Johnson. He has crushed that in 6 straight games. Look, DeCorian Moore is going to get some reps. He'll be playing again. How much, we really don't know. Could be a decoy situation. At the very least, he'll be out there. But Jamari Johnson, they have been all over the tight ends. And Dante Moore, with his accuracy and of course, I got my Dante Moore in the holster right here. Thank you to Trophy Smack. Auto, numbered to 75, Dante Moore first. That will be worth a lot of money once he goes and hits the draft. But that being said, he loves hitting the tight ends. Jamari Johnson has proven himself to be a very important part of that passing attack. 22.5, he's crushed it each of the last 6 games since he's been starting. I love that.
Love it. Bainbridge, for you?
Yeah, I'm on the receptions 2.5 for over for James Madison running back Wayne Knight. It's plus odds over at FanDuel. You can get that right now. Not often do we get plus odds for a running back that actually leads the team in receptions with 37. He's tied for the team lead in targets at 48. So I really do like his usage out of the backfield today, facing this style of defense that Oregon runs. The other one that I did a sprinkle of too, anytime touchdown bet for James Madison quarterback Alonzo Barnett. It's half unit play maximum, but he does lead the team with 14 rushing touchdowns. He is second on the team behind Wayne Knight with 27 red zone rushing attempts. So I think there's a good chance if they keep it close that he'll have a rushing touchdown today.
I like that one. Yeah, go ahead, Froton.
I totally agree. And with Wayne Knight, 20.5 receiving yards, I think that's pretty achievable as well. But when we're looking at the milestones and the ladder plays with Knight, 4 catches is plus 247. We've seen him do that quite a few times. In fact, I'm looking at the Better Vision app, the best app in the world when it comes to actually being able to parse through these prop plays on your phone. Very, very few. Most of them are desktop oriented. You're seeing that here. I like it. 247 for Wayne Knight with 4+ receptions. I think they're going to have to dump it off early and often.
I like that. I was just checking back real quick on the game log against Louisville, it's James Madison. We didn't see him step up too many times, but they did against Louisville. Wayne Knight had 3 in that game for whatever it's worth. And obviously he's hit 4 and, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, against a really good defense, why would they not be throwing more to Wayne Knight, a guy who already leads the team in targets anyway? For me in this game, give me the points with James Madison. I'll take 21. I was happy with waking up today, seeing this line. It toggled up to 21. It was 20 and a half when I went to bed last night, but happy to take the 21 with James Madison. James Madison has one of the G5's best defenses, and they're really good up front in their front 7. Could do a little bit to muck up the efficiency of Oregon's running offense just a little bit. And the Achilles heel of that James Madison offense, there's only one, but it is fairly pronounced, but that is giving up explosive passing plays. It's just that Oregon doesn't really hunt for them in their passing game. And we all love Dante Moore and all the different speeds of the throws he does and the touches and the layers and stuff like that. He's not a YOLO downfield type thrower, and the system isn't either, right? And Dante Moore doesn't have a howitzer arm either. Oregon is 100th in air yards per target. So I don't know that Oregon is going to be over and over again exploiting what James Madison's biggest issue is on defense there. And then meanwhile, the Oregon's defense, their kind of minor weakness is you can grind out some efficiency on the ground against them. It's what James Madison wants to do. So I think James Madison at least matches up well enough where it's like, if you're giving me 3 touchdowns, I'm happy to do it. And it's another one where Oregon doesn't need margin. They just need this game to be done with a higher score than James Madison so they can move on to Texas Tech next round, right? So I'm going to take the points of James Madison there. Boys, now we move into next week, moving out of the college football playoff and into our bowl games in the weekdays next week. So we go to Monday, December 22nd, one of my favorite bowl games every year, the famous Idaho Potato Bowl in Boise. Washington State and Utah State. Utah State right now on the market, 1.5 favorite. Total on this game of 49.5. My line on this one is right around a pick. I have Utah State minus 0.5 point. The transfer portal and injury stuff on the Washington State side, they have a top 3 cornerback on their team. Kenny Worthy is in the transfer portal. There's a big drop off after him. Wazoo does not have good depth in the portal. So if that Worthy kid's out, that matters. Tony Freeman, a wide receiver as well, might be the team's best wide receiver. He's a slot, certainly their best slot receiver. He is also in the transfer portal. And there was a thing where the old coach, Jimmy Rogers, if the old coach there, obviously he's gone to Iowa State now, where if you entered the portal, he wouldn't let you play in the bowl game. The interim coaches, whatever, they reversed that, which opens up the possibility that these guys might. A couple injuries on their side too. Their center Brock Diao, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he missed the last game. He still has an injury designation, and his backup stinks. So that one matters if the center's out again. And then Carter Pabst, he didn't play in the finale either, wide receiver. His absence only matters if Freeman can't play. But if Freeman can't play and then the Pabst kid, he's hurt again, or Freeman opts out, then Wazoo could have some issues at wide receiver in terms of depth. I mentioned that Jimmy Rogers left for Iowa State. Jesse Bobbitt, the defensive coordinator, is the interim head coach here. And then on the Utah State side, their starting wide receiver, Brandon Pegan, is in the transfer portal and will not play. He is the team's best wide receiver. And one other note from the pass catching core of Utah State, Brock Lane, their tight end, missed the last game. He is questionable for this one. And with Utah State's wide receiving core thinned out for this bowl game, it would really be nice if Brock Lane if he could end up playing, but he is officially questionable. Froton, thoughts on the prop market in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl?
Yeah, the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. You gotta respect Idaho. When I think about Idaho, the Vandals, I always thought that was such an interesting nickname. Like the Vandals, you're proud of spray paint on walls? Like that's a nickname? Anyways, I got a couple here. And as from this point on, there's only so many props that are out. It's all got to be the parlay market stuff. So I'll have a little twofer here that we can pop in now to get a little bit of value on it. One, I'm going to start over at Utah State. Javen Jacobs has been having more essentially snaps than we've seen out of Miles Davis. It's been a true split situation between the two of them. Last game against Boise in a very competitive game, he got 23 snaps to Davis's 16, while Davis got 8 carries. Now, Davis is listed at 52.5 rushing yards. That's a mark that he has cleared just twice in the last 8 games, one against Hawaii, the other against New Mexico, and the last 4 games he has failed to clear it. That is a clear split situation with him at 52.5 against this Washington State defense. Keep in mind, Washington State, they played half their schedule against Power 5 teams, Power 4 teams, and pretty damn good ones, too. It's a clear delineation between how they perform against the G5 and how they perform against the Power 4. And they've been competitive in just about every game down the stretch. Like, this is a well-coached team, and you don't run on them. With Miles Davis at 52.5, splitting with Jaden Jacobs, having the quarterback, as we know, Bryson Barnes, you love him, Michael. You hated that I drafted a lot of Bryson Barnes in college fantasy this year. He takes a lot of the air out of the room. He's at 56.5. He is going to run the ball a lot. Splitting the carries 3 ways with Davis on the short side of the snap count. I like him under 52.5 rushing yards. And on the other side, keep in mind with Utah State, terrible run defense. Not a bad pass defense, legitimately terrible run defense. 108 yards after contact, poor tackling. 114th in yards per rush and 108th in EPA per rush. That informs the play with Zevi Eckhouse. You see, Zevi Eckhouse currently listed in plus juice territory at underdog at a 0.106 times. He should probably be in the 0.8, 0.85 range based on their metrics. He has scored a touchdown in 5 of the last 6 games and 6 touchdowns total on the ground. You're going to give us an anytime touchdown in plus territory that you compare with that Miles Davis, 52.5 rushing yards. I hit that, and I'm excited about it. Pair those two together on underdog.
Love it. Bainbridge, anything for you?
Yeah, well, first off, I'm disappointed that you guys didn't reference Billy Madison with Miles Davis there.
If going under school, consider me Miles Davis. Consider Froton Miles Davis.
There you go.
Yeah.
I was going to go with kind of blue because Miles Davis is a Jazz legend, of course. But, yeah, you're right. No, missed opportunity. Sorry about that.
Just to pivot for a second, Thamel did come out and say that Le'Veon Moss is expected to play and start. So I know Ruben Owens was listed out at the start of the week he was listed on the prop market at 47.5. I don't know that that's out there anymore.
Not on underdog.
Yeah, it was on the last time I checked pre-show. It was on Fanatics. It was the only place I could find it, and I didn't have a plug there.
So I'm also on the Zevi Eckhouse anytime touchdown. He does lead the team in rushing touchdowns, and he has the team leader with 34 rushing attempts inside the red zone. So I do like that play a lot. I don't have a specific play outside of that. The one I will be looking for to see if we can get a line at some point close to the game, Anthony Garcia. He was the wide receiver 3 for the most part for Utah State. This season, they really ran a ton of 12 personnel, right? 2 wide receivers only, and then 2 tight ends. And Anthony Garcia will be the direct replacement for Braden Pegan in this matchup. The other interesting part about Garcia is that he is a converted quarterback, so they will bring him in during like inside the red zone, use him as a wildcat quarterback. So again, I would need probably, plus 300 or greater odds to take that, but just something to watch out for because he is going to be the replacement for Braden Pegan as the wide receiver 2.
Love that. As for me in this game, so I would lean Wazoo, all things considered. Froton was sort of alluding to this, but Wazoo's defense was legit during the regular season, and in particular against teams sort of around qualitatively where Utah State is. I trusted the resume more. The best team that Utah State beat this year pretty easily was number 67, Fresno State. I like the quality wins that Wazoo had a little bit more. San Diego State, Toledo dominated both of them. But it's hard to trust Wazoo when they had this defense first mentality. They don't play much offense, right? Like it's like the boring offense, like on the ground, whatnot. But the really good defense that they had developed this year under Rodgers. Now with that coaching change in this one-off scenario in the bowl, is there any depreciation, there, or are they going to play, slightly different? So that stuff I ended up going off of that. I do think though that Wazoo controls the dictates the tempo of this game, at least early, and the way that it's going to go down. They are stout on defense, and they are just going to take care of the ball on offense. And Utah State does not have a great run defense. Wazoo plays as slow, they did during the regular season, as slow and conservative as any offense in the country. For all these reasons, I think the total of 49.5, I think it's too high. Happy to go under that one. And I think I think it's going to go well under 49.5 if I'm being honest. So I'm going under on that one. Boys, moving to our next one. That was our only one on Monday. Bowl game Tuesday. So the day before Christmas Eve, Tuesday, December 23rd, Boca Raton Bowl, Toledo and Louisville. Louisville right now, that's gone up to 7-point favorite. It was 6.5 yesterday. Louisville now 7-point favorite in the market. Total on this game, 44.5. My line on this one is Louisville minus 6.2. Going through we have a lot of news in this one. Toledo has 3 starting defenders in the transfer portal that none of these guys are expected to play. Starting defensive end Malachi Davis, starting safety Brandon Alls, and then a starting linebacker Chris D. Apollonia, I believe. And then you have the potential opt-outs. Toledo has a bunch of those too. Headline by their best defender, Emmanuel McNeil Warren, the safety who we're going to see late next month in Mobile, Alabama at the Senior Bowl. Day 2 prospect, Emmanuel McNeil Warren. Is he actually going to play in this game, especially when several other starting defenders around him are out? Not sure about that. Have to watch for that. There's a couple other cornerbacks also, on opt-out watch. Chip Tranum, our boy, is he going to play in this one? Junior Vanderos. So a whole bunch of stuff up in the air with that. And then injuries on the Toledo side. Their quarterback 1, Tucker Gleason, is doubtful for this game. The expectation is that Caleb Osborne, the freshman quarterback 3, will start this game because their veteran quarterback 2, John Allen Richter, was already injured. Osborne went 15 of 24 for 260 yards this year, played Central Michigan, took over for Gleason. So we'll have to see about that. And then they left guard for Toledo, Carter Foudy. If he had 639 snaps this year, that would affect the depth of Toledo. I looked into the backup and I thought he was pretty analogous though. So it would just be a depth thing there. On the coaching stuff for Toledo, of course, Jason Candle left for UConn. The co-offensive coordinator, quarterback coach is going to serve as the interim here. But Toledo had a bunch of other assistants that left as well. Their co-DC linebacker coach, the other co-DC, the safeties coach left as well. Separate guys leaving. Special teams coordinator left. The offensive line coach is going to call plays here. The cornerback coach is going to call the defensive plays for Toledo. There will be a test after, so I will be quizzing you guys on that. But there's a bunch of grad assistants that are being elevated. It's one of those situations with the grad assistants. Then you go over to Louisville side. They have not come out of this unscathed themselves. Starting defensive tackle Renee Conga has opted out of this game. Starting defensive end Wesley Bailey has opted out of this game. So Louisville going to be lighter on the defensive front. And then their stud wide receiver, Chris Bell, he didn't get a shot topped out of the game because unfortunately he got injured at the end of the season. And that thing's going to linger on. We'll see what that ends up doing to his NFL draft prospects. But obviously his season is over. And then the other thing with the injuries, there's a bunch of guys that are nicked up there. In particular, 3 different running backs, which I'm sure you boys are about to talk about. Isaac Brown, Kewan Brown, and Duke Watson. And we went through the merry-go-round with those 3 guys and their health statuses every week down the stretch of the season. Brom, just like he was saying every single regular season week, it's like, oh, I'm hopeful that 1 or 2 play, but I'm not really sure, but I'm hopeful. That's what we're getting again. His literal comment was, I hope at least 1 of the 3 plays. Okay. Glad we got your hope for that. It really helps us out in the handicap of this. Froton, with that being said, what do you like in the prop market for this game?
Yeah, hope is not a plan, obviously. But when it comes to this game and we're looking at Toledo, we're going to I really try to look at Wazoo. It's about the closest comp I could get in terms of play style and competency as Louisville. They lost 28-7. Gleason threw 41 times, and they ran for 61 yards on the ground on 24 carries. Eckhouse, the aforementioned Eckhouse, went for 74 yards and a touchdown. Team actually rushed for 162 yards, while they got picked off twice by Toledo now, they were getting picked off by some of the players that you're talking about that might not be playing. That's a real issue because Toledo's D brings heat. First nationally in pressure rate, 47% pressure rate, second in sack rate. And they're also a good pass defense when those guys are in the lineup. However, 132nd in yards per successful drop back. The big play is what they're susceptible to. Now, Caleb Osborne, I watched him every snap he had over the course of this season. 37 dropbacks, but only 24 pass attempts. And that's because he likes to scramble. They move the pocket a lot, opening up the run-pass lane, so he has those options, and he's happy to break pocket. No problem. Couple of throws that I noticed. Had trouble throwing outs to the field side. Skipped one that was probably 10 yards down the field, and he had another deep shot, both against Morgan State down the left sideline, and he shorted each of them. As far as his performance against Central Michigan, which is the longest bout we've had in terms of him this year when he took over for Gleason. This is late in the season. It was their last game. Though he went 8 for 10 and it looked good metrics-wise, a 55-yard screen pass for a touchdown came on screen that just, he didn't really do anything. He just sort of popped it down. Central Michigan looked like the Keystone Cops. They had 5 guys converge, and just one juke took them all out. Central Michigan looked pathetic in that game. 94% of his yards in that game came after the catch for Osborne. While we don't have a line on him, I feel more strong about his ability to run. I think they'll probably be doing more of that, moving the pocket, RPO type situations, depending on what his rushing yards line is. I'm going to be taking a look at that. That being said, with Louisville, Miller Moss is playing. So even though myself and Miller Moss have a long sordid history over the past 2 years, one I've been correct about, and I'm taking that victory lap. Michael,
you have a Miller Moss impression, don't you?
Yeah, Michael Davis. Yeah. He looks like Beavis. I'm sorry, everyone. It's just what it is. That being said, he plays like Beavis too. But he's better than the alternative. He's listed at 208.5 passing yards. That shows at least that he's competent. Colin Lacey has pretty much crashed out in the past 2 games without Miller Moss. They had no passing attack. But before that, even with Chris Bell in the lineup, he was out there cranking 60, 53, 43 in his previous 4 games with Chris Bell out there for most of them. Now without Bell, with Lacey probably in what could be his final, it should be, in fact, his last career game, I think you get him pounded with targets. He will be the wide receiver 1 at 44.5 receiving yards right now on Underdog. I am taking that over, and I'll be looking to see what he comes out at on the domestics.
I like that look. Mike, anything for you in this one?
Yeah, no official plays for me, just stuff to watch out for. I believe if Trip Trayanum is not playing, then Kenji Christian, did have a 100-yard performance earlier in the year against Kent State. He should be the running back too. So if he's got long odds for an anytime touchdown, I would probably look at that. And then on the Louisville side, I do agree with Chris Bell out, Colin Lacey over. But the one I would look for, looking at the last game that Louisville played, it looks like Trayshawn Hurry was the wide receiver 2 in replacement of Chris Bell. So he should be the direct replacement there in this bowl game. And if he's in the 20 to 30 yard range, I might be looking at his over as well.
The play for me here, and this is my last. I've given out a total on a couple games so far. This is my last total that we're going to be talking about on the show today, and I'm going a little bit of a contradictory play on this one. Give me the over 44.5. Toledo has the nasty top 20 overall SP plus defense, but that thing's been nuked. Absolutely nuked, and it might not be over. In fact, I don't think it is. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, I don't know why you play in this one. And there's other defensive starters that are also considering the opt-out. The coaching staff on Toledo's side was nuked. And then you have multiple key offensive contributors, at least that we're looking at to see their status. But all that stuff has been baked into this line as far as the personnel defections. Like I gave Louisville on that side one of the biggest adjustments of this bowl season. I could only get this line to Louisville minus 6.2 points. I'm not going to touch the side with a bunch of key injury or a bunch of key players on both sides not having made a decision yet and so much up in the air. I'm instead going to go on the over. The trump card of Toledo's defense, they're not going to have it in this game because of all the defections. And the Rockets, I think, are going to have to play slightly different on offense because of that, right? I mean, the way that they played defense against the MAC teams, and then they were just able to sit on them. You can't do that, if the other team's putting points on the board. I do think Brahms' offense is going to have a little bit of success here against that depleted Toledo offense, and I think they end up doing enough to get over that 44.5. Boys, moving to our next one. This one is this another Tuesday? Yeah, another Tuesday one. Western Kentucky and Southern Miss in the New Orleans Bowl. That's a 5:30 p.m. Eastern kick that night on ESPN on that Tuesday. But Western Kentucky, 2.5 point favorite in the market. Total on this game, 57.5. My line on this game, I got a discrepancy in this one. It's probably going to tell you where I'm going with this one, but I have WKU minus 5.1 points. Froton, what do you like? Any thoughts on the props in this game?
Well, yeah, we have a situation with the coaches. Obviously, Charles Huff moving on to his third team in 3 years after being unceremoniously jettisoned by Marshall. What a horrible decision that was. Goes over there and just resurrects Southern Miss out of the gate. And we have another old friend, Blake Anderson. Welcome back, Blake Anderson. Welcome back, buddy.
Welcome back. And by the way, Blake Anderson, 3-6 against the spread career in bowl games, for whatever it's worth.
I think it's worth a lot. I think we need to know those sort of things because Blake Anderson, he likes to chuck the ball around. That's what his identity's been. And with Southern Miss playing against this Western Kentucky defense, the problem is Western Kentucky's run defense is just terrible. I mean, you can really get them. We got a 50.5 right now on Pittman, but I'm having a hard time because you got Matt Jones there, you got Briggs. They split it up 3 ways. Yeah, Pittman gets the lion's share, but he hasn't crossed that 50-yard barrier in 4 games. Like I'd love to find a reason to take it, but I just can't out of the gate. If anything, I'll be looking to see how this line develops and matures with the wide receivers out there right now. I'm curious to see, at least on the Southern Miss side, I'm curious what you're looking at as well for yourself, Michael.
Yeah, that Elijah Metcalf line, that one stood out to me, and I just didn't realize how much he crushed it at the second half of the season, especially the last 5 games. 45 of his 67 targets came in those last 5 games. I know we talked about this at the start of the college fantasy season of we did not know who was going to emerge as that wide receiver 1 for Southern Miss. There was about 6 to 7 guys that people were discussing, but they condensed it at the back half of the season in November, where you were getting Metcalf, Carl Chester, Micah Davis. They were really the primary 3 guys that were being targeted and got the majority of the playing time. I want to lean under on Elijah Metcalf, but that is not an official play at all. Like you said, Eric, I want to see how that line develops over the course of the week. But he is a volume-based receiver. His ADOT's only 9 yards, so he needs heavy volume to be able to hit this line. Again, not an official play, but that's just something that I'll be looking for.
Yeah, he's been consistently getting double-digit targets, but that's 74.5. He's a slot receiver, keep in mind. And while obviously Blake Anderson is known for his slot usage, you kind of done that, and we've seen guys pop over there in his previous stops there. 74.5 is a big number. Western Kentucky, as we said, vulnerable on the ground, pretty good pass defense. And like Thor mentioned, they'll probably have most of their secondary back since they do allow anybody who hits the portal to play. I had a hard time. You can't really take an over in that situation, but yeah, I'm with you, Michael. It's I'll be looking to see how this develops a little bit more. Maybe take a speculative on Chester. I don't know.
Yeah, and I wonder if some of that is the Blake Anderson taking over. Southern Miss had a really weird offense this year where they heavily were slanted towards the run, but their run game stinks. That Pittman kid's not good. The other guys in the rotation aren't really either, so perhaps that's why he ended up leading it. Southern Miss's offense is the best when they're attacking, in particular downfield. Like Braylon Braxton, he gives you an explosive element. Sometimes it can be a little bit of a roller coaster ride, but that was when their offense was most successful, but they wouldn't go away from the run first thing. So they were always putting themselves behind the sticks. Kind of weird. I don't like this Southern Miss team. And Charles Huff is, getting out of there now. Southern Miss, 6.4 second order wins against one of the 3 easiest schedules in the FBS this year. This is one of your worst bowl teams. This Southern Miss team, the run first offense that is not good running the ball. And we'll see if Blake Anderson's like, scrap that. Let's go to we're going to air it out. Well, we'll see, but that's not what they did during the season. So that would just be a one-off, and, we'll have to see. The passing game I mentioned, it's boom or bust. It can connect on explosives. That's the best thing the offense has going for it. But Froton was starting to bring this up. WKU, the decided strength of their defense is the pass defense, which they have a legitimately good one. WKU does to combat that, take away those explosive plays. The bad WKU run defense, Southern Miss doesn't break long runs anyway. And so we'll end up seeing on that, but I don't know how much they're going to exploit that on WKU. Meanwhile, Southern Miss, you can nick their bad defense with a quick hitting passing game all game long. We saw that in every matchup that Southern Miss had against a team like that. That's all WKU does. This line under a field goal, happy to take it. Give me WKU. I think WKU hammers Southern Miss in this game. Our next one, gentlemen, now we are, let's see, is it the Ohio? Yeah, the Frisco Bowl. So this is the
this is a frisky bowl, all right, with the stuff going on at Ohio. Plenty of frisky.
Sure is. UNLV a 6.5-point favorite against the aforementioned Ohio Bobcats. Total on this game 65.5. Ooh, baby. My line on this game is UNLV minus 7.6. Not a lot of injury or opt-out news. Certainly not as much as was going on with the coaching on the side of the Ohio team.
Coach is opting out, all right. Yeah.
what a bizarre story that was. But Ohio, their best linebacker, he last played in week 9 and is questionable, Michael Malner. So one thing on their side, and then UNLV, a skill guy, Vakari Gums, he last played in week 12 too, questionable for this game. Brian Smith, the Ohio coach, fired for cause. If you're curious why, you can Google that one. Their defensive coordinator, John Hauser, is the interim head coach. Ohio, yeah, I mean, and it's the MAC, but like they did what appears to be a decent job early, at least at keeping a cap on that thing. I was hearing things out at like the Ohio thing of like, there's something going on there, and the head coach, and there's something, but like it didn't really, the Michigan thing got out a lot more. Like with people hearing about the Sharon Moore thing than the Smith thing. Does the fact that it didn't and I'm sure inside the program it felt like a nuclear bomb going off, but like the fact that it wasn't more of the scrutiny from the outside and stuff, and you got the guy fired for cause, you move along. Does that help? Not help Ohio, but does that minimize any potential effect on the performance? We'll have to see here. This is a fascinating stylistic matchup, I think. I found it really interesting getting into this game. Froton, I'll kick it to you first before I get into my handicap, but curious what you're seeing here as far as the props go.
Yeah, well, if you, Brian Smith went full Brian Harsin is all you need to know is what happened over there. But keep in mind with Ohio, they've been much more giving on the defensive side than they had been in past years, allowing 20-plus points in 8 of their last 9 games against real opponents. My alma mater, UMass, not a real opponent, so I don't count them. And can you blame me, Thor? Can you blame me for leaving that? No. Even the pathetic UMass had 14 points, but everyone else is scoring 20, and they've been shown to be very vulnerable against the pass, specifically big plays. 111th in yards per successful drop back. Teams go vertical on them. As you mentioned, we have quite a large over-under because UNLV will gas it. Our boy, Anthony Coheed Calandria, progressive rock legend and quarterback, multifaceted Coheed Calandria is. But where I'm looking at is not so much Calandria, it's his wide receivers. This is an early drop, so we really haven't had a chance to adjust this. Troy O'Meary opened at 30.5, just ticked down to 29.5 over there on Underdog Pro. He has smoked that in 6 straight games. He is the primary outside wide receiver, and he is the deep threat for UNLV. If they're going deep, it's to O'Meary, who is 6'4", 210, and can really high point the ball. Keep in mind, former Texas commit Troy O'Meary had actually a huge spring game in his freshman year, had really high hopes, goes over to UNLV, and while he kind of took a little while to get his feet wet, man, from week 10 on for these last 5-6 games, he has been electric. Beat that number in every single game. You have to take the over in 29.5 against this Ohio secondary.
Love that. Bainbridge, anything for you?
Yeah, I mean, everything that you guys said makes me feel even better about my pick. I'm going over 20.5 longest rush for Jaden Thomas. I really like UNLV in this spot just because of the mojo factor. They got the announcement that Calandria is going to be back. Dan Mullen, head coach, is going to be back. And Jaden Thomas announced this week that he is going to be back as well for 2026. And you guys kind of alluded to Ohio missing that starting linebacker, the amount of explosive plays that they give up, both in the run and the pass. They're 95th in explosive plays allowed on the ground. And Thomas has cleared this line in 8 of 12 games this season. And his breakaway rush rate of 53.7%, that is higher than Jeremiah Love's breakaway rush rate. So that's obviously eye-popping there. So I really like this over of 20.5 longest rush for Jaden Thomas.
Turn on the Jets, Bainbridge.
This is for prop bettors. This is the game for you. There's going to be a ton of points in this one. The total is indicative of that. I would not be able to go under on that. So I'm actually going to take the points with Ohio here. I know I'm going against the market. I'm even going against my system in this one, but giving me around a touchdown, the 6.5. And that's because I think it's going to be a wild shootout where Ohio does match up their offense well against UNLV. Rebels have one of the G5's best offenses. They also have one of the very worst run defenses in the FBS. The kryptonite to UNLV is teams that grind them on the ground. We've seen this a couple of times this year. So the down performances with UNLV, it's when you just go at them. Their weak front seven. That's the one thing Ohio does with Navarro and Bangura and all the different guys. Just pound. Assuming everybody plays. But, with how far we're out here, looking forward, have to assume we don't have any other news. So if Navarro's playing, if Ohio has their running backs, they're at least going to be able to get their yards on the ground. UNLV certainly is going to answer. Ohio's defense is down, to your guys' point, but I think this is going to be a wild shootout, and I'll take the points on that one.
Yeah, I would imagine if one of the two between Bangura and Navarro sits, it would be Bangura probably, because I think Parker Navarro is applying for his 7th year of college now. So I would imagine then that he's going to play.
Cy Bangura, the drum slowly, Froton.
Bangura, yeah, it's known as the Pavia now when you're trying to apply for that 7th year. Yeah, go for it. Good luck, Mr. Navarro.
That, and just thinking about the props, when we do get the lines on the Ohio side for the running, here's UNLV's run defense, 112 success rate, 135th yards per rush allowed when you take out sacks, 131st just regular yards per successful rush, 126th in EPA per rush. So, they're going to have UNLV certainly is too. Dan Mullen did such a good job with that offense. Calandria is going to put up numbers in this game, but yeah, that one's going to be a shootout. All right, boys, another one of our favorite bowl games, the Hawai'i Bowl on Christmas Eve every year. Nothing gets better than that. 8 p.m. Eastern kickoff on ESPN Wednesday on Christmas Eve. Hawaii in their home stadium against Cal in this game. Cal had been favored. The market now has pushed Hawaii to the favorite, 1.5 points currently for Hawaii favored. Total on this game of 52.5. On the Cal side injuries, they have a couple depthy kind of receivers. And then they also, Mason Minnie, their tight end, who did good at the start of the season. He kind of dropped off, was kind of banged up, that sort of stuff. He's also questionable. You look over the whole thing, Cal, they're hurting at depth at running back, receiver, tight end, linebacker, and defensive back. not all big names, but certainly depth with the injuries and the attrition that's occurred for Cal. Their former head coach Justin Wilcox fired at the end of the regular season. Nick Rolovich, our old friend and a guy that Hawaii knows well, is the interim coach. Yeah, heading to Honolulu to coach in this game, an area that he knows. Tosh Lupoi will take over. The Oregon defensive coordinator will take over at Cal after this game. And then for Hawaii, in the transfer portal and will not play, wide receiver Jackson Harris, who had just under 1,000 receiving yards this year and 12 touchdowns. Hawaii likes to air it out, and Bainbridge and Froton about to tell you where they think those targets are going to go. And then for Hawaii, linebacker Jimmy Otis is out in this game. Cornerback Verdell Edwards II is out. And then Nick Senecal, talking about the receiver thing, a depthy receiver, Senecal, but he is questionable in this game. So keep an eye on that one, because he's going to be getting on the field more with Jackson Harris out, if indeed he does end up playing in this game. My line on this one, I forgot if I said it already. I have Hawaii minus 4.2. I had Hawaii favored by over 4 points when Cal was favored. I am not surprised by the market movement on this. And for more on the market, in this case, the props, Froton, what do you like in the prop market in this game?
Yeah, keep in mind with Giron Kiawe Sagapulotele is from Hawaii. So he literally played his entire career on the island. He had the option to transfer, and frankly, he could have gone to any big prep school in California he wanted to as a senior, especially after his standout Elite 11 performance. We actually got to interview him. Super nice kid and easy to root for. But he wanted to stay on the island because he wanted to be closer to family. So this is a homecoming for him. Keep that in mind when you're assessing this. Now, Hawaii, pretty good in terms of their pass defense, but they're going up against Mountain West teams here. You know what I mean? This isn't the kind of Cal elite upper crust competency where you have JKS, a true NFL prospect, and his arm is huge. You want to talk about being able to stretch the ball downfield? He's got the gas in that arm. So even though Hawaii has been competent against the pass, they give up big plays. 113th in passes of 20-plus yards allowed, 115th in yards per successful drop back, despite a 36.9% passing success rate that ranks 30th in terms of defensively. So with Giron Kiawe Sagapulotele listed at 278.5 right now, it's about 50-50 in terms of him beating it or not. But this is an important game for him. The homecoming factor with him going to Hawaii, new coach. You got Rolovich, who, as we all know, was the coach at Wazoo and was at Hawaii. We know he likes to gas it up and throw a lot. 40 passes last game, 58 passes against Stanford, 51 passes against Louisville in the past 3 games for Cal and Sagapulotele. I think they're going to have a showcase, and they're going to want to light them on fire. I lean over for that 278 because of the personal factors there.
Mike, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, not a ton of leverage. I would agree with Eric on the over, but not a ton of leverage against our projections. We have him at 2 passing touchdowns, which the market makes sense with that. He's at minus 145 to go over 1.5 passing touchdowns. And then we have 285 projected passing yards. So I would lean over, as Eric alluded to. The one I'll be looking for on the Hawaii side is Brandon White, who functioned as the wide receiver 4 for most of the year. He did fill in for Nick Senecal when he was out for, a good chunk of the season due to injury. And he'll be kind of that nominal wide receiver 3, perhaps even wide receiver 2, with Jackson Harris out, and then Nick Senecal questionable, doubtful. He may not play. So we'll see there. But this is a former Kentucky transfer. He is arguably, I think, the fastest receiver on the Hawaii side at receiver. So if they line him in that 40 to 50 range, I'll be looking to his over, and then potentially some ladder situations because, with Mika Alejado, we know what Hawaii is going to do in this situation, right? They're going to throw the football as well. And this is a talented, former P4 transfer. So I would like his over if it's in that maybe 40 to 45 range.
Yeah, for me, the handicap on this one, the Rainbow Warriors, of course, everybody knows with Timmy Chang, they throw every down. They also have, excuse me, throw every down. They also have one of the G5's better pass defenses. Hawaii, of course, though, doesn't run, and they have a terrible run defense. That doesn't matter in this game, though, because Cal, especially with Nick Rolovich taking over and going back to his old stomping grounds, and then the quarterback with Cal, now he going back to his old stomping grounds. It's been throw since Rollo. The whole scheme there. That's what it's going to be in this game as well. But you have to go into a pretty solid pass defense. Cal, their defensive strength is pass defense too. So it'll be interesting to see how that thing sort of matches up with one another. The under could be a contrarian play here. I'm gonna go though. I'm gonna lay the 1.5 with Hawaii. My system's showing line value on Hawaii. I think Cal is a little bit fluky, a little bit paper tiger. They're 7-5, 5.5 second order wins though for Cal. They had a couple fluky wins this year. Boys, we're almost.
I will say one more little look on that. Keep in mind too with Cal, I'll be keeping an eye on the receptions line on our boy Jacob DeJesus, former UNLV wide receiver. The amount of targets, he's basically a running back that gets extended handoffs, and I'm talking extended handoffs. 12 catches last game, 14 the game before, 16 the game before that. Virginia snuffed him out. 8 catches Virginia Tech, 12 catches against North Carolina. I would say, Michael, and you can feel free to correct me, but I can't think of another wide receiver who gets this kind of target volume in the Power Four. Can you think of anybody?
I'm looking at it now. He was only second in the country behind Danny Scudero. No, it's all G5 guys at the top of the
all
top
G5
of the list.
guys. Like Power Four, he's a true extended handoff guy. I'll be looking at his receptions. If it's anywhere in the 7-8, I mean, you gotta hit it, especially with the Sagapulatelli factor. So that's one I'll be looking at, even though we don't have a line.
Nobody screws with DeJesus.
Nobody.
Woo! So we're going to move into Friday here. There's 3 games on Friday. And audience, thanks for joining us. The next time you're going to see us is 1 week from today. So we just have one more day to get through. However, unfortunately, none of these 3 games have prop lines. So Froton, Bainbridge, if it's okay with you, for time reasons, with Texas A&M and Miami coming up here, the kick, we're gonna shove all 3 of these together. The 3 games on Friday and motor through them right now. And you guys can give whatever prop thoughts you have, but we'll just get through them really quick. The first one is the GameAbove Sports Bowl, Central Michigan and Northwestern. Northwestern is a 10.5 point favorite in that game, total of 43.5. Northwestern has a whole bunch of injuries, particularly their running back room, which I hope Mike and Froton will hit on in a second. But also watch out for Caleb Tiernan headed to the NFL draft. Their stud left tackle. If he ends up opting out, my handy, I'll just hit my handicaps and I'll toss it to you guys. But in that one, I'm going to take the points with Central Michigan, the 10.5. Northwestern, Central Michigan are 2 of the slowest paced teams in the entire country with their offenses. Northwestern did not beat a team inside the SP Plus top 95 by more than 3 points this season. It's not their MO to blow teams out. Northwestern plays good special teams. They also have a decent run game. The running back room is decimated in this game, though. I think CMU is going to be able to move the ball on the ground enough against a mediocre Northwestern run defense to stay close, keep the clock moving. Froton, Bainbridge, do you guys want to speak really quick to the Northwestern run game or any other prop things? Just quick hitters.
Yeah, Komolafe has been incredible this year. Cam Porter's been out, 2-time college football player props, All-American. We love pounding his unders. Unfortunately, that'll be the end of him. But Como has been just great, really the engine of that entire offense. And if he is healthy, as hopefully he is, I see him really getting after Central Michigan to the best of their ability. I watched them and was not impressed with their tackling acumen. And they're better in terms of their pass coverage than they are on the ground. I think with their 96th rushing success rate, I think they come right after them on the ground. Be looking at the Como props.
Yeah, if Komolafe is out, it looks like it would be Robbie Preckle, a freshman, who would get the start. He had 22 carries in the season finale versus Illinois. I'll also be looking at a Preston Stone line potentially going under. See if it's his last game, so maybe they mix in a freshman here in that spot. That we've obviously looked at those situations in previous bowl games. It hasn't exactly panned out to our liking. So, if it's high enough with Preston Stone, maybe I'll look to the under, but that's kind of where I'm at this game.
And we'll just speed through these last couple quick that are on Friday. The Rape Bowl, New Mexico against Minnesota. My hometown folks aren't going to let me get out of here without hitting on this one. The Gophers are 2.5-point favorites in the market right now. 44.5 is the total on this one. New Mexico, they have a couple injuries in the secondary, including their one tall boundary cornerback, Abraham Williams, who has not played since week 9. If Abraham Williams misses this game again, New Mexico will not have a cornerback that is over 6 feet or is 6 feet if he's out in this one. And Drew Speech as well in the secondary. On the Minnesota side, Darius Taylor, potential opt-out. His backup, Faye Midgeboy, who we saw plenty this year, he is in the transfer portal. We are not sure if he's going to play. Same goes for Lemeki Brockington, wide receiver for the Gophers, who was declared for the NFL draft. PJ Fleck has been very evasive about Brockington's status. Brockington, when he put out his Instagram notification about this, he thanked the coaches and the teammates. Kind of seems like Brockington's not going to play. Fleck usually will say, if they are. And the Gophers have some depth wide receivers that aren't going to play in this one. So Brockington's indeed out, and this will speak to the props. That means that Javon Tracy, Jalen Smith, Logan Loya, that trio are the Gopher wide receivers who have played this year. You got to go down there on the depth chart then after those 3 guys. So, and the Gophers have slanted heavily pass heavy this year with the offensive line being as bad as it has. So that could end up coming into play here. Gopher side, Zaquan Bryan, cornerback, and linebacker Matt Kingsbury both missed the finale. My quick handicap on this one, I ended up changing sides on this one. I had an initial lean towards my hometown Gophers. Deeper I got into this one, I can't do it. And now the market's pushing the Gophers higher favorite. My line on this game is I have New Mexico favored by 1.7. New Mexico has won 6 straight games. During that stretch of the 6 games, they beat 2 legit opponents, UNLV and San Diego State. Minnesota, I mentioned the bad offensive line. They also have the wide receiving core that's decimated. The running back room will be too if Darius Taylor ends up opting out. And here's where the Minnesota bad offensive line is going to come to the fore. New Mexico's defensive line is number 1 in the FBS in havoc. Number 1. And now you're going up against one of the Power Four's worst offensive lines for a team that has to throw because the offensive line was so bad that they couldn't run, which is the head coach's druthers. The efficient take-a-profit New Mexico offense matches up decently well, I think, too, against a Minnesota defense that struggles to tackle. Number 98 success rate. It's 2.5 right now. I'm going to wait. Hopefully the market pushes this thing to 3. I'll take the points with New Mexico. Boys, I know that there's not any prop lines out there. Any just quick hit thoughts on that one?
Thor, just correct me. Who would be the running back to start if Darius Taylor sits and Fame is out as well? Do you know?
Oh, now we got to go down. Let me pull it up real quick.
That's just where I'm kind of thinking. Grant Washington, a freshman, he in week 2 when Darius Taylor got injured, rushed for 126 yards on 22 carries against Northwestern State, an FCS opponent. So if we did get news and we got long odds on a potential Grant Washington anytime touchdown line, I'd maybe look at that. And then you spoke to it, Thor, the receivers, like they were all listed in the 20s this season. With Drake Lindsay returning, this could be a potential showcase game for him. So if we have a limited rotation at wide receiver and those lines are going to be extremely low, right, in the 20 and 30 yard range, I might look to some overs there.
And then the last game that we had there on Fridays, FIU and UTSA. UTSA favored by 6 in that one. That's right around where my line is. Total on this game, 59.5. This game has a whole bunch of status things I'll try to motor through really quickly. FIU, they have 3 starters in their secondary that are not going to play in this game because they're in the transfer portal. And then they're watching the status of Brian Blades, the second, another quarterback, and he's their best defender. If Brian Blades opts out, they have some real problems in the secondary. Their right tackle also will not play in this game, FIU. The other thing is their quarterbacks. Keon Jenkins has a groin injury, and then Joe Pasansky, backup quarterback, has a foot injury. Willie Simmons, the head coach there, said if the bowl game had been played 3 days ago, that the third stringer, Clayton Deese, would have started. But he also, in those comments, said that Pasansky and Jenkins, he thinks that they'll be healthy for this game. I don't know if it's coach speak or not, but we'll end up seeing on that. And then on the UTSA side, the head coach, Jeff Traylor, said that his team will be, quote unquote, a shell of themselves for the bowl game, and estimated that 10 to 20 players are going to be out because of opt-outs, injuries, entering the portal, etc. In the defense in particular has been hollowed out. 6 to 7 starters could be out on defense. Ones that we have confirmed, their nose tackle, both their starting cornerbacks, and then one starting defensive end, I'm sorry. And then an outside linebacker, free safety, and additional are also hurt for UTSA. So you have a lot of stuff going on there. My really quick handicap on that this far out is with this much up in the air, if you're going to give me almost a touchdown with a bull underdog that's playing a team, the favorite team, where their head coach has said, we're going to be a shell of ourselves for that game, and we don't even know what their defense is going to look like, I'll take the points. With FIU, I'll take the 6.5. Boys, any quick thoughts here before we wrap?
Yeah, keep in mind with Florida International, really good run team. 7th in yards per successful rush, 17th in yards per contact. I'll be taking a look to see what Keyshawn Owens is. Their starting running back, what his line looks like.
Yeah, and I feel great that I got FIU at plus 9.5 at this point. So that has moved in my favor. Yeah, I'll be looking at the UTSA side. Defensively, obviously they're going to have a lot of opt-outs, injuries, what have you. But offensively, I think everybody, for the most part, all the skill positions, Owen McCown at quarterbacks should still be there. So I'll be looking at some of the overs in that line.
And that's all the time that we have for today. For everyone who joined us, we thank you so much for joining us. And if you're new to the channel, we'd really appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe and tell a friend about next week. We are going to be back here, me, Eric, and Mike, same time, same place, 9:30 a.m. Central on this channel of Score North, on the Football Takes channel. We will be live again 1 week from today, going over the next slate of games. But that's all the time that we do have for today. Let's go cash some tickets, guys.